Okay, so we're having a lesson today on function machines. Okay, so the start of today is I'm going to read you out a sentence and I want you to try and work out the answer. So I think of a number and then I multiply it by 4. My final answer is 20. What was my starting number? So pause the video, have a think about this, think about how you could work out what the starting number was. So we know that we had a number, we multiplied it by 4 and got a final answer of 20. So what was our original number? Okay, so pause the video now if you haven't already, have a think. Okay, so the answer is 5. So we can check that as well. So if we have 5, if we multiply it by 4, we do indeed get 20. So the way we did that, so we know that 5 times 4 equals 20, so we can check it when we know the answer. How could we get it if we were working backwards? So what we can think is, so if we had some number that we don't know, and we times it by 4, that gives us 20. So what we need to do to get back to our original number, we need to do the opposite of timesing by 4. So what we need to do then is we take 20 and we divide it by 4, because that's the opposite of timesing. So that would give us 5. So we can see that if we work backwards, we're doing the opposite thing. So we're starting with our answer. So because we're going backwards, instead of multiplying by 4, we divide by 4, so we do the opposite. So there's one more of these, so have a think about this second one. So I think of a number and subtract 7 from it. My answer is 11. What was my starting number? So think about what we did last time. So remember, when you're going backwards, we need to do the opposite. Okay, so the answer for this one is 18. And again, we can check the answer when we know it. So we know that 18, so we subtract 7, that does indeed give us 11. So we know that's the correct answer. But the way we can get there, if we didn't know it already, so if we're starting with 11, so we know that going forwards, we subtracted 7. So if we're going backwards, we're going to add 7. And that gives us 18. So what we've actually been doing, okay, so really well done if you managed to get the start ones right, but don't worry if you didn't, because you will be able to do by the end of today's lesson. So with function machines, I've told you the title already, but I've not actually said what they are. So a function machine is a process that we do to a number. So we have a number that goes in, we do some processes on it, so multiplying, adding, whatever the function machine tells us to do, and then outputs an answer number. So it's basically some kind of operation or a function that we do on a number. And we'll see some examples of that now. Okay, so here we've got our function machine. Normally you won't need to draw a robot around it. It'll normally be fine for you just to draw a little box with a 4 in it. You don't need to draw a robot. So what we've got here, we can see our function is clearly labelled on the robot. It is plus 4. So whatever number goes in, we add 4 to it, and then the number comes out. And the numbers that we put into it are called inputs. So the ones that go in are called inputs. See if you can have a think what a number that goes out would be called. It would be called an output. So we've got our numbers going in on the left here. These are the numbers that are going to go in. So they're inputs. And the numbers that come out the other side, they're going to be outputs. So let's see if we can work out some outputs. Okay, so this first one's done for us. So we've got 1 here. So it goes in. We add 4. That gives us 5. So our input is 1. Our output is 5 from the function machine. So let's put 3 in. So we put 3 in. So we get to here, we do 3, add 4. So what comes out the other side? We do 3 add 4, which gives us 7. So 7 is our output when we put 3 into the function machine. Okay, let's do one more. So we've got 8 goes in. So we're going to do 8 plus 4. So what's going to come out of the function machine? We do 8 plus 4, which is 12. So we've seen the basics of how the function machine works. Basically, we put a number in, we do our function machine process on it, and then out comes our answer. Okay, so here's one that's a little bit different. Here we've got, in fact I should say at this point as well actually, that first one, that is the first level of difficulty, the questions we did before. So if you do want to skip ahead to the questions, you'll now be able to do the red section questions. So if you want to do them first, then come back to this section of the video, that's great. If you want to just watch the video first and then go back to it, that is fine as well. Okay, so with this one, we can see we've got the outputs, but we don't have the input. So this is kind of like what we're doing in the starter. So we know that when we put a number into the function machine, we add 4. So we know if we're going this way, we get here, we add 4. So if we're starting with our output though, and we're going backwards through the function machine, we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to do 5 minus 4. So we're going backwards through the function machine now. We have to do the opposite process. So rather than adding 4, we are subtracting 4. So if we do 5 minus 4, that gives us 1. And we can check why we've done this. So let's imagine, so we know that 1 goes here, we've seen that. But let's check it. So we put 1 in the function machine. So we do 1 plus 4, because we're going forwards through the function machine. So we do what the function machine says, which is plus 4. So we do 1 plus 4, and that gives us 5. So we've checked our answer. So the key thing to remember is if we go backwards, so if we're starting with our output and going backwards, we reverse the operation, so we do the opposite. And when I say operation, that is the process that the function machine does. So if it's a plus, we'll do a minus. If it was a times, we'll do the opposite, which is a divide. So let's have another go with 20. So again, we've got 20 as our output. So to go backwards through the function machine, what do we need to do to 20? Well, we're going backwards, so we do the opposite of our plus 4. So we're going to subtract 4. So 20 minus 4, that gives us 16. And if you want to check the answer, you can check if you put 16 through the function machine, you do indeed end up with 20. So we can see that's an extra bit of evidence for our rule down here. So let's do one more. So 9, if we go backwards through the function machine, so we're going to do 9 minus 4, so that is going to give us 5. And again, we can check if we put 5 through the function machine, that would be 5 plus 4, which does indeed give 9. So when you've gone through the function machine, you can check it by going the other way. But you don't actually need to do that, that's just a good way to check your answers. Okay, so these are the first 2 sections so far. So these function machines, we've got a box on one side that's empty, we need to fill in that box. So with the red ones up here, that's like the first set of questions we looked at. So we've got our inputs here, they go into the function machine, we do the process, and out pops our answer. So our first one, we put 2 in, so we're going to do 2 times 5, which gives us our answer of 10. So we've done that first one. So getting down here, let's do a green one first as well. So we've got 72 as our output, and we need to work out the input. So if we're going backwards through the function machine, we do the opposite process. So we're going to do 72. What's the opposite of multiplication? Is division. So we're going to do 72 divided by 8. So 72 divided by 8 gives us 9. So we've worked out our answer there, and if you want to check it, you can check that 9, so if we put 9 in, we do 9 times 8 does indeed give 72. So we've got our answer there. So if you're not sure, I am going to put the answers for this in a second, so have a go. I'd focus on these red ones first, but if you are confident with them, you can skip ahead to the green ones. But I'd say probably do at least 3 or 4 of these red ones just to check you've got it before moving on. And also make sure you've done some where it's different processes, so some multiplications, some divisions, some additions, some subtractions, and check that you've got all of them. Okay, so pause the video now, have a go at these. I will attach them on the sheet as well, and then we're going on to the next section. So here's the answers for this first set, and here is the answers for this second set. So check that you've got the ones that you've done so far right, and then we'll be moving on. Okay, so we're on to the extension stuff now. So this is a bit ahead of what we need at the moment. So if you are happy with just the stuff we've done so far, that is really well done. This is more just stuff to think about. So this is like the next step. Okay, so here we can see we've not just got one function machine now, but we have two function machines, and they're next to each other. So you can kind of see this as one big function machine. So when it goes in, it's going to go through this +4 one, and it is then going to go into the +2 one. So what we need to do is work out what is going to come out of the +4 one. So if 1 goes in, we're going to do 1 + 4, which will give us 5. So if that was just our one function machine, that would be our final answer. But that is now going to go into a second function machine. So what do we think we're going to do to work out what comes out the other side? So it's actually just the same idea as what we do in our first function machine. It goes in, so we then do whatever the function machine tells us. So in this case it's times 2. So we do 5 times 2, which gives us 10. So because we're going forwards, all we're doing, we're just following the function machine's rule. So it's not really any harder, it's just 2 steps rather than 1, but the process is still the same. So if you want to pause now and have a go at putting 3 through and seeing if you can get the right answer, I would recommend having a go. If you want to watch me do one more and then have a go at 5, that is great. Okay, so we put 3 into the function machine. We're going forward, so we do what the function machine says, not the opposite. So we do 3 + 4, and that gives us 7. So again, we've got our second function machine now, so we go into the second function machine, which is 7 times 2, because the function machine's told us we're times them by 2. So 7 times 2 gives us 14. So we can see we've done 2 steps rather than 1, but the process is still the same. Okay, and this last one, so again, if you want to pause and have a go, you can do. So put it into the function machine, so we do 5 + 4. So 5 + 4 gives us 9. And then for the second function machine, we do 9 times 2, which gives us 18. So we've been through the function machine, which is a 2-part one, so 2 steps, but the process is still the same in each one. If we're going forwards, we are going to be multiplying. So just on a side note, let's say we're given one over here. So my video's just jumped a bit, so don't worry that some stuff's vanished. Just if you do want to skip this one, this is definitely an extra example. So this is for the extension stuff, which is the blue box. So you don't actually need this for today, but if you do want to have a go, that is great. Okay, so let's say we've got 20 in our output box. So we've got 20. How could we work out what went into the function machine? So think about what we did last time. So we're going to have to go backwards through the function machine. So what do we do when we're going backwards? Well, it's the same rule as before. If we go backwards, we reverse the process as well. So if we go backwards through the function machine, we reverse the process. So if we've got 20, instead of doing 20 times 2, we do 20 divided by 2. So that means that what went into the second function machine was 10. So we're still not the full way there, because we're trying to find out what went in to the first function machine. So we need to go back again. So again, because we're going backwards, we're going to reverse it. So we do 10 minus 4, not plus 4. So that gives us 6 as our final answer. So again, the idea is the same. If you're going backwards, we reverse the process. The only difference is we've got 2 function machines now instead of 1. So this is the real extension topics. So this will be the very last box of the worksheet, which is the blue box. Okay, so from today's lesson, you should now have, you should be able to have a go at least all of the boxes. So the yellow box is the previous one where you go forwards through a 2-part function machine. The extension box, the blue box, is the one where you're going backwards through a 2-part function machine. Okay, so here we've got the sheet again. So now that we've been through that second set of examples, you can do these ones where we've got a 2-part function machine. So going through this one, we've got 7 times 10, which is 70, add 6, which is 76. So what comes out is 76. We've also got this blue one, which is the extension sort, so you don't actually need to be able to do this for today. This is definitely a bit more advanced. but if you want to have a go, you can do. So just remember, if you're going backwards, you reverse the operation. So 29 minus 5 gives us 24. And then we do 24 divided by 3, which is 8. So I'll put the answers to these up in a second. So pause the video now, have a go at, I'd start with the yellows, and then have a go at the blues if you're feeling confident. Okay, so answers are, so I'll just put them all up now. Okay, so check the answers, check you've got the ones you did right. I will put up on a separate worksheet the answers as well. So make sure you check them as you go along. It's really important that you are getting them right. Okay, so good luck. Email me if you have any questions.